the most important part of this entire presentation. Circuit training compared to conventional strength training. Now, you know from the definitions we defined at the beginning of this lecture, we're comparing vertical loading to horizontal loading. Compared to conventional training, circuit training will result in higher peak heart rate, higher average heart rate, higher peak oxygen consumption, and a higher rate of perceived exertion. Not surprising, right? We're taking work and we're condensing it into a smaller time. However, with all that being said, circuit training results in a similar number of reps per set, similar loads lifted, similar peak and average bar velocity, similar peak and average power. Yeah, so kind of go back to what I said at the beginning of this lecture. The summary, the practical application of this is circuit training might feel a little harder, but it's not going to negatively affect the quality of your sets. Compared to conventional training outcomes, we've already kind of addressed some of this stuff. Similar body composition, hypertrophy, endurance, max strength, power, agility, functional outcomes. It's all similar. Or again, am I saying that circuit training is the panacea and it's better than horizontal loading? No, actually, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying it's the same. I'm saying these things have the same outcome. We talked about this. This is not an easy conclusion to come to. The research is a little squirrely here, but more reps per set may be performed with longer rests between exercises, 30 to 60 seconds. But I do think it's important that we judge that in comparison to how many sets we could perform if we have fixed session lengths. Here's what I mean by that. If 60 seconds between exercises results in more reps per set, but you've been doing that for a while and you feel this client wants to go on to 3 sets, but they're doing 30-minute sessions, and the only way you're going to get that done is doing 25 seconds between exercises, you're probably better off doing 25 seconds between exercises and adding the 3rd set. You guys kind of get how that math would work out? What you're really worried about is total volume, okay? So we could say total reps per exercise performed. And if you get more reps per exercise performed by adding a 3rd set, even though the number of reps you performed on the 2nd set decreased a little bit, you're probably better off doing that 3rd set. Now, we are pretty much specifically talking about fixed session lengths here. Ideally, I would recommend that people have 30 to 60 seconds between exercises, what we like to call lazy circuits, right? You set up your circuit of exercise, you meander from one exercise to another, is probably a perfect way to go. If you have fixed session lengths, don't worry about that rest between exercises as much, worry about total volume of exercise more. Exercise order. We get asked this question a lot. I don't know if you guys as personal trainers get asked this question a lot. What should I do first, aerobic or resistance? Doesn't really matter all that much, honestly. Like, it just, your body will get used to it, whatever you like to do. Now, if cardiovascular performance or total calories burned is your priority, you're probably better off doing aerobic exercise first, but only by a little bit. So if you hate this, don't do this. But you might be a little bit better off because aerobic exercise burns more calories, or if your cardiovascular performance is your priority, to put that first so that you can maximize and optimize that first and then move on to your resistance training. If strength is your priority, the research kind of points to you're probably better off doing strength training alone. As in, if you're going to do aerobic exercise, you should probably do it in a separate session. Again, these are small differences for people who want to maximize performance for these two things. Exercise order. This is not surprising. This probably goes into one of those things of, well, I'm glad we have research to back this up, but I think I could have told you that before you ran that experiment. Strength training exercises programmed at the beginning of a routine are likely to be performed with more reps than the ones at the end of a routine. Kind of obvious, I know, but I'm giving you guys the research so you know that the research exists. All right, so let's review everything I just went over. You ready? The recap. Position statement. This should make absolute sense to you now, right? Why did the Brookbush Institute come out with this particular position statement? Well, we actually spent a lot of time on this stuff, right? We do this huge systematic review. We write down all of these conclusions. We then summarize all of our conclusions, and then we write a position statement that summarizes the summary of those conclusions. So the Brookbush Institute recommends the adoption of circuit training for nearly all resistance training goals. Now you guys know why. We're not actually saying circuit training is better. We're actually saying it's just the same, right? Which is reflected in that next statement. When compared to conventional resistance training, circuit training results in similar intensity and volume. Same number of reps, same loads lifted. If we're talking about power, same velocity, same power per rep, and similar outcomes. That's probably the most important thing, right? So the same strength, the same endurance, same power, same functional benefits, right? In fact, some of the research actually points to circuit training being better for functional outcomes in the elderly, probably because of the higher peak heart rates, higher peak O2, okay? I didn't want to complicate that slide too much there, but it's something for you guys to keep in the back of your mind. Circuit training might be more beneficial for the elderly, okay? So other than that, it's all the same. Same agility, same balance, right? All of it's the same. But here's the advantage. Circuit training protocols reduce session time by 35 to 60%, even when we do an optimal amount of rest between exercises. I feel like circuit training is one of those things you learn as a trainer. And it reminds me of those video games where like you unlock a new skill, you know, like you reach the next level, right? Like you just picked up circuit training. You unlocked the skill shorter session length, right? Like it's really the only way to efficiently get through a session. And of course, this leads to other great discussions we get to have about programming.